I am Foluke Alayale. You're reading through the Bible with me, Foluke. Welcome back. We are going to do a deep dive into chapter 4 of Genesis. Okay, there was a lot that was going on there. There was murder. Ah, oh my goodness gracious, yes, there was. So, if you're following along with me in the Immerse study, we were reading in page number 9. Um, Actually, it was page 7 to 8. My bad. Okay, so this is where Adam has sexual relations with his wife. This is also where we get a breakdown of the line of Cain. Okay, why is that important? For some people, reading through the Bible is just a list of names and like historical stuff that, like, who are they and why do they matter? Well, God is actually trying to tell us something by listing these people, these individuals specifically. So we have to pay attention to it. Now, we're going to get to the part of Cain's lineage in a second. So let's start with the whole sibling rivalry. It's very interesting that the first son was not the chosen one. Why does that matter? We will see repeatedly throughout the Bible, especially throughout the Torah, right, the first 5 books, where human nature is for the firstborn to receive the birthright. Okay? And in this situation, it was almost as if it was also assumed, right? Like even the way Eve named her sons. We're going to get back to that in a second about the naming. So the nature of things as we have it is that the firstborn, especially the firstborn son, receives the birthright, receives the inheritance. And God, throughout the story of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, literally would tell us over and over again, yeah, I actually get to decide. It's my decision who gets the birthright for the nation that I have called. And why does that matter? Because Cain is not the lineage of good. Cain is the lineage of evil. And it's because he chose to be evil. He chose to disobey. He had a contemptuous spirit towards God. And that's not me just like making things up, right? The way he presented his offering to God, his sacrifice, he presented something that he knew because he was told, assuming that he and Abel were told the same thing. He presented the wrong thing. Now, why was it wrong? The sacrifice, and this is reading in chapter 4, it says, when they grew up, Abel became a shepherd and Cain cultivated the ground. When it was time for the harvest, cultivated the ground. He was basically a farmer. That's not a bad thing. Being a shepherd, not a bad thing, right? Cultivating is a good thing. God expected them to do that. Tend and keep, right? When it was time for the harvest, Cain presented some of his crops as a gift to the Lord. Abel also brought a gift, the best portions of the firstborn lambs from his flock. Now, it didn't say that Cain even presented the best. He just presented some of his crops. Here's some. Here you go. Some of us, we don't even think about it when we give God just a meager, when we're at church and the bucket is passed and it's like, oh, I've got $10 in my pocket. Here you go. I almost said 10 pounds. Not in Britain. But I've got $10 in my pocket. Here you go as the offering goes by. But that's not the spirit in which God expects us to give to him, right? He just gave them literally. They are generation number 2. Do you not see all this beautiful land that I have given you? You're just getting me some of your crops? Do you realize that all of this is mine? All of it. All of it is mine. And I ask you to bring a sacrifice. Now, the crop itself was disobedience. As far it wasn't even given in the right spirit. He wasn't giving God the best of. I think the Bible would have referred to it as the best of his crops if it was the best of his crops. It simply said he gave him some of his crops, right? But it wasn't even that it was some. And it wasn't even that it was crops, right? Because he could have given the crops, but he could have also exchanged the crops, being that he was a farmer, to buy a lamb from his brother Abel. Hey, we're in this together. Imagine. God actually expected human beings to relate to one another. But instead of Cain taking his plants, his crops, what do people do as far as crop? Corn. It could have been corn. It could have been fruits. It could have been anything, vegetables, spinach, whatever. Hey, I have a bushel of wheat. Can I get a lamb so that I may sacrifice to God what he's asking for? Instead of having that conversation and that partnership with his brother, Cain was like, this is all I got. And you're not even going to get the best of it. You're just going to get some of it. God. And Abel instead gave the best of. It says he gave the best portions of the firstborn lambs from his flock. Now, again, the issue wasn't just the best. It was the fact that it was the lambs. There's something about lambs, even from the beginning. Oh my goodness, this is the first time I'm actually seeing this. From the very beginning, it was always a lamb. A lamb. Jesus is the lamb, the most innocent lamb. And the reason why that mattered, I kind of glossed over it a little bit in chapter 2 of Genesis, but this is the part I want to go back into it. This is when Adam and Eve sinned. It actually was chapter 3, right before this. It says that they covered themselves in leaves. Think Cain thinking plants, right? They covered themselves in leaves. But when God saw what they did and he gave out the punishment, he says, so the Lord God banished them from, where am I? No, okay, there it is. It's even a little further. Okay, it says, then the man Adam named his wife Eve because she would be the mother of all who lived. The mother of all who live. She literally was birthing them. From the first one she birthed all of them. See, Adam never born anybody. Adam had rib cut out. Not even his decision. Not even his choice. God saw that he needed help. Adam probably wasn't going to raise his hand and say, help. God saw that he needed help, and God cut a rib and made a helper for him. And helper is someone who, without her, the battle would not be won. He could not do without her. She was powerful and important, significant. But in her birthing, all who live, Adam gave her the name Eve because that was the rightful name. And it says, and the Lord God made clothing from animal skins for Adam and his wife. Now, the reason why that's important is because that was the first sacrifice. God made the first sacrifice. And God decided from the very beginning that the only thing that could atone, not redeem, but atone for sin was blood. And up until that point, imagine an earth where the animals wandered, where they weren't eating each other. They weren't dying. There was no death. God gave them the vegetables and everything from the land, right? But God, who cut Adam, first surgery, and created Eve, also cut those animals to create a sacrifice to cover them physically and spiritually to atone for their sin. So God is asking Abel and Cain to bring a sacrifice, and it has to be blood. It's the only thing that could atone temporarily until the one and only, the most innocent of Jesus, his blood, that could redeem us all. But until then, all the sacrifices that you see in the Old Testament, even the New Testament, they were all simply atoning, and they were all temporary, right? We're going to do this temporary atonement, but we got to do it again next month. We got to do it when we sin again. We got to do it when we sin again. Until Jesus came and he atoned for all time. So God laid out the process for Abel and Cain. This part is assumed simply because Abel did it right and Cain did not. So a blood sacrifice was important. It was what was actually required. Then there was deception. Do you remember the first person that did the deceiving? You can't call him a person, but the first being, Satan, deceiver. That's what Eve said. He deceived me. Her intention was to do what she was told, was to obey God. Like she defended God. God said X, Y, and Z, right? But Satan twisted what God said. And here you find that Cain is being intentionally deceptive to his brother. Hey, he said, let's go into the field. Huh? Like, what did he expect Abel to think? Well, hey, we're going to go into the field. I'm going to go to your farm. But that was a bit deceptive. It was a con. It was a lie to get him into a place where he couldn't defend himself. He was away from his animals. He was away from whatever he was comfortable with. He was out alone in a field, just with him and someone he should have been able to trust, his brother.